guys? How's everyone doing out there? This is Acemon and of course Jade, part of the acemonarmageddon channel, and of course we welcome you to our first streaming edition as we celebrate Mortal Kombat on its 30th anniversary this weekend. Happy birthday, MK! Um, Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for very much for watching this video. Of course, we're gonna go into some MK gameplay. We're gonna do MK1, of course, the mother that started the franchise, and also we're gonna do an unofficial, not yet finished version of MK Plus. This one is not even out yet. This is one of many versions that I like so far, but unfortunately we don't have like an official version that it's out for the fans to get their hands on. Even though people that have been contributing to the game, we get access to test out the gameplay and such. Like I said, there was only one version that I like so far, and that one I play more than anything. I think this one wasn't the very last one, but this one that I have, I play, and then there was another version, or version something. I'll get into the details, but bottom line is that wasn't the latest version that came out, testing wise. Because unfortunately on the Mortal Kombat Plus website where you can get the downloads, by signing up. There is no official Mortal Kombat Plus yet on their website to download. Only Mortal Kombat 2 Plus and Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. But nonetheless, this is all about MK in this hour. I'm going to be doing a gameplay, and he's going to be doing a gameplay. We're going to be going back and forth on the original first, then we'll jump onto MK Plus, and we do the same thing. So let's get into it, and while we do some gameplay, we're also going to be chatting about where exactly were we in 1992 at the time. So, as we start up MK through Big Box, where were we at the time, Jade, in 1992 when Mortal Kombat came around at this time? Technically, it was yesterday, on October 8th, I believe. Yeah, October 8th of 1992. Let's see, I'm 40, you're 39, so technically I was 10 at the time and you were 9, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 90s was, a very different time. It was an exciting time.
Yeah.
Nothing like the bullshit, and sorry for my language, nothing of the bullshit that we're dealing now as adults. With the inflation and dealing with such ridiculous politics. As far as the battle between Republicans and Democrats. Back then, we didn't worry nothing about that. Bill Clinton was running the White House. Everything was dandy. Everything was cheap. God, I mean, it was incredible to be a kid at that time. And those were the good old days back then.
Yes, they were.
Yeah. So, what can you... back then when it came to Mortal Kombat, it wasn't even out yet. Street Fighter was making its mark. But I didn't hear anything about Street Fighter until the sequel. I barely even heard of the first Street Fighter, and it came out in 1987. So, for me, when it came to video games, we were into the home consoles like the Nintendo. Super and Sega were barely out around that time. And we didn't even have a console. We didn't even have a Super or Sega. I only remember my Uncle Mike, who came in the beginning of the 90s, he bought a Nintendo, and he had really good selection of games, which wasn't even a lot, maybe up to 10 cartridges almost.
Yeah.
Up to 10. Do you remember what some of those cartridges were?
I
remember we had Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt.
My Brothers and Duck Hunt, yeah.
The Ninja Gaiden 2.
Ninja Gaiden 2. He bought Castlevania.
Oh, he did buy Castlevania?
He did buy Castlevania.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I thought he rented it, to be honest. I remember Captain Skyhawk.
Captain Skyhawk,
He got that one. Were there any other games that he got for Nintendo at the time?
I think it was Defenders of the Castle, something like that. Defenders of the Castle.
Defenders of the Castle.
Yeah.
I don't remember that title.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, and when we wanted to play more games, we ended up renting them because back then we were living, of course we're in Chicago. We live in Chicago practically all our life. Living in the back of the Arts neighborhood, one of the roughest neighborhoods. We never dared to dream that we would ever live in, but we survived it. We made it through. Not gonna mention where exactly we live because that's gonna raise up a lot of flags to people, and the last thing we want to get into is into that type of talk, because we're all about the good, we're not about the bad. So let's get into some gameplay here. And start out with good old Scorpion here. So when it came to, of course, back of the Arts, we were living in the roughest neighborhood. We made it through, thank God. Lived there for about 15 years. And, I'm just humbled that we made it through. We still have friends there that still live there to this day. We just tell them, hey, be careful, be safe, things like that, because, what happens out in our city is very unforgiving. Just as long as everybody's safe, that's what matters to me. Anyway, back to Mortal Kombat, of course. When we first saw the game, we thought that this was going to be like any other game, maybe no sequels or anything like that. And the first time I caught it, honestly, as far as I can remember, was Mr. Submarine back in that old neighborhood. Mr. Submarine, they had it at 46th and Ashland over there. And I remember, just a good group of kids. I mean, kids. Not teenagers, but kids. Like, kids around my age, 11 and 12, maybe. Basically, like maybe 6th, 7th, 8th graders at the most. Were crowding this arcade game, which was Mortal Kombat. I don't remember if there was any other. I think there was maybe 2 or 3 machines at the most. But they were crowding the Mortal Kombat arcade machine. And for some reason or another, it did not catch my attention immediately, or at least sink into where it's like, oh, I gotta play that game. I gotta try it out. I gotta see what the buzz is about with that game. What makes that one stand out more than anything. And then, after witnessing it there at Mr. Submarine at that location, I remember, our dad, God rest his soul, every Sunday we'd be going, cruising to go to the malls and go to the arcade places. Like, for example, Fort City had Tilt. We went to North Riverside. It didn't have no machines at the time. We didn't even go to North Riverside until later, to be honest. What other malls did we went to?
Chicago Ridge.
Chicago Ridge had Aladdin's Castle.
Yeah.
What other mall did we went to that had arcades?
No.
I think those were the only 2, right?
Right.
So there wasn't a lot of places that we could go to play arcade machines, but those were the only places that we went to until we found out more. At least Mr. Submarine had some at that time, but then later years, like right after Mortal Kombat 2 came out, then Mortal Kombat, the first one, they had it at Swaparama at 41st and Ashland. So it's like, no, why not? At that time, once Part 2 was out, it's like, why not? I'll give the first Mortal Kombat a shot. Even though Mortal Kombat 2 perfected from Part 1, in as far as the gaming mechanics, the characters were moving quicker. It was jam-packed action, more blood, more moves, blah blah blah, all of that. So all of that counted. And then later did we know that Aladdin's Castle had not just one Mortal Kombat, but then it had two, and then but very few places had Part 1. Once Part 2 came out, it just exploded. I know we're supposed to be all about talking about Part 1 for this 30th anniversary gameplay, but still, we're just, reminiscing of the old days as we're talking about the game and doing the gameplay here at the same time. Jade, I got a question for you. Which character in this franchise after 30 years was the one that stood out for you? If there was one character you had to pick, which one do you think stood out for you?
Well, for me, I think well, I'm not gonna say the constant, but one of the constants of Mortal Kombat, I would say, was definitely Sub-Zero. He was the one who pretty much kept the franchise afloat. He was one of the constants of the group, whether he was antagonistic or protagonistic. The character was pretty much that character I consider the glue to the whole group. I mean, there's something about that character. That character has a certain mystique, and that's why I'm not gonna say everyone, but some fans like myself find certainly captivating.
Interesting. Honestly, when the game first came out, and I'm talking about Part 2, because I started playing Part 2 and I never gave Part 1 a chance until later, because eventually I would have to go back to Part 1 and play it, even though that one didn't have a lot of characters, even though it was a little slower and such, with the mechanics and everything, and which I did. Obviously, if I didn't, then probably I wouldn't even be playing this one right now after 30 years, to be honest. But on Part 2, I started with Liu Kang, and something told me, or I got the notion right away, that Liu Kang was the hero of the story, and his character coming from being a Shaolin monk and all of that, and how he's he's the hero, he's the protector, to protect Earthrealm from the evil. Doesn't matter which boss, Shang Tsung, Shao Kahn, whatever. To me, he was the hero of the game, and it was cool. But then as I got to discover other characters along the way, I dug Scorpion the most. Not just because coincidentally I'm a Scorpion myself, but the fact that his story was one of so many in a unique full way that he had a past life, he had a family, but because of his rivalry with Sub-Zero when it came to clans or groups or whatnot, whatever the history, we all know the history between those two characters. They have been the constant when it came to their rivalry in this franchise. I dug the story of Scorpion because, his story was sacrificial in the fact that he had a past life, he had a family. Oh my God. He got me. Damn it. Oh shoot. Alright, it'll be your turn. So pretty much you know, he had a past life. He had to sacrifice it in order to stay on Earth, and you know, just pretty much that he had to give up his family in order to to still be around and fight the good fight, I guess, in his mind. Didn't matter against who. And as time went on, when it came to this game or part 2 or whatnot, I didn't want to be stuck playing the same character because it gets boring sometimes. So I had to give the other characters a chance as well. So in part 1, I got to master Scorpion. Then I began to master Sub-Zero. And then as time went on, then I got to master others, and I didn't remember exactly who after those 2 I mastered, but I got the hang of Johnny Cage, then Raiden, Liu Kang. I think if there was one that I haven't, I think I passed everybody with. I passed everybody on the first. On the second one, I was having issues with Kung Lao. That's the only character I haven't dominated the game with. What else? I guess we can talk about how we had the Sega Genesis in later years. Because, like I said, we didn't have the console at the time, so it wasn't, I think, until '96 when our dad got the console for me on my birthday, the Sega Genesis, for both of us to play, and he got that console at a garage sale, and the thing about it was, it never came with a cartridge. It never came with a game. It was just the console itself, the Sega Genesis controller, and one of those turbo controllers that only one button worked out of that controller, and that was it. But it's like we didn't have no game to play. It's like, where can we go to get a game? And I really, because that way we can test out the Sega Genesis to see if it was actually working. So, before that was even a thought, because, even my mom and my dad, they asked me, how we were begging for one of those cartridge consoles, whether it be a Super or a Sega. I honestly wanted a Super Nintendo, but since everybody in our neighborhood, everybody in our block had Super Nintendo, and we only met one kid in the neighborhood, like 3 houses away from us at the time, that had Sega Genesis, it's like, we might as well get, it's like, if we get a Super, it's cool, but if we get Sega, it's like, okay, whatever. Just as long as we got a console that we can play on. So, even before all that, Funko Land was around, and I love Funko Land, man. That place was awesome. Funko Land was the shit. And I wish they had Funko Land now as we speak, because the gaming places of now is just, God, it's so boring, and it's nothing like Funko Land, I mean, Funko Land was once in a lifetime experience. If only they would have taken some of those examples of Funko Land into the GameStop or Player Retro. I think Player Retro's even gone now, so it's like there's only one place now that I can get some of these games back since I got that one console right there. I can't even remember what was it? The Retrocon or whatever. Yeah. I don't even remember. It's that one console where you play Super, Sega, and the old Nintendo as well. Yeah, that one. I haven't touched it in like 3 years, and I have games for it. I just gotta get back on it. or find audio video converter into an HDMI. I think I'm gonna hunt for that later on, because like right now money's tight with everything raising. It's just nuts.
Like Larry said, it was a good fight, but money lost.
I'm gonna try one more time here before we jump to MK Plus. But yeah, man, those were epic times back then. And like I said, when we were gonna go into you're missing wins and the points, and there was one more. Okay, this is weird. Something's up with this thing.
Yeah.
Then next thing you know, I'm going to be playing the game in the dark here. What's up with this?
Yeah, excuse me, baby.
See, look at that. It didn't even. That's just nuts.
Yeah.
All right. Jade's going to come back for a quick second. Let me try. Let me go with Sonya. So, like I was saying, we actually Funkoland was around back then in '96. I think it was gone after that, maybe about 2 years after, or 3 years after, because we only been there once and we never went back there again. And I wanted to go back there, for more games, because that place had a humongous library of games. Funkoland,
Yeah.
it was the shit, man. I'm telling you, man. And we went there. I wanted to get Mortal Kombat 2 for Sega Genesis, since my dad got me, or got us a Sega Genesis, even though it was for my birthday. We went to Funkoland. We got Mortal Kombat 1. They didn't have Mortal Kombat 2, which I was disappointed, but we ended up getting Mortal Kombat anyway. So we got Mortal Kombat. Came with the box, came with the instruction manual, all of that good stuff. And, we were having a ball, even though I wish we could have got another Sega Genesis control. At least, another 3-button, because the original one was a 3-button. And we should have had two 6-button controllers at the time. And I didn't got that until 97 or 98 at the flea market at Maxwell Street, which reminds me, I gotta go. I'm gonna see if I can go back on a Sunday this year before the winter comes, because back then they had they had a bunch of bunch of spots, a lot of items. There were some that had really few that involved video games, but there was one that had a little bit of everything when it came to Nintendo, Super, Sega, PlayStation, all of that. So I ended up getting the 2 6-button controllers for Sega. And I ended up buying Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 in the process. And all of that was just for $10 at the time. You remember that I got all of that for $10?
Yeah.
I'm all like, man, this is something. And this was, and the people that were selling it, they barely even had a clue that all of that still had value, no matter how nostalgic and old school it was. But, it was still worth something. So that was our memories of back then, with MK1, and how, we had a ball with it. Even if we played it a little bit on the arcade, mostly on the Sega Genesis, because we had it on a cartridge. Then in later years, as I wanted to get some of those consoles and games back, I was making my collection, because like now I got that Retron console. I got a PS4, PS3, PS2, PS1. And I have a very small, decent library for all, as far as games are concerned. Got my hard drive with these old school arcade games. Got some some of these emulators, Super and Sega, with a decent amount of library. Just my favorites. I don't have the entire collection as as other people would have it. Which there's nothing wrong. You want to have the full library of those consoles. Hey, power to you. But like for me, I just go for my favorites. Favorites that I have played. There was some that I never gave a chance, but got to play and added to my collection. Those type of games. And while we're at it, I think another memory was what happened 10 years ago when it came to the autograph sessions of meeting these actors that play the characters, and we got to meet almost everyone, But like, well, let me ask you, Jay, for you. Who were you looking forward to meeting the most in these past 10 years whenever we end up going to the autograph sessions at Brookfield at Galloping Ghost?
Well, I know the one actors that I really wanted to. I mean, well, honestly, the actors who I really wanted to meet were, of course, John Parrish, who played Jax, the Pacino brothers, Daniel and Carlos. Those actors I really wanted to meet because the characters of Jax and Raiden and Johnny Cage were the ones that I felt compelled. I really like those characters. Well, of course, I have to mention Richard DeVizio because I like Baraka. That character I like to play Raiders for too. And I gotta tell you folks, I mean, the first time the Galloping Ghost did these MK reunions, these autograph signings, I remember the first time that we met Daniel Pacino and John Parrish. Of course, Philip Bond was there. He was one who played Shang Tsung in Part 2. But of course, I was kind of bummed out when Carlos Pacino was not there. But of course, it was the inaugural event. He was not there again the second time. But the third time, which we all went to, yes, he was there, and yes, finally. Let's go. Oh, not to mention Sal DeVito also. Since I like Nightwolf. Yeah, I mean, Sal DeVito was worth it.
Oh yeah, of course. Every actor, doesn't matter who you were looking forward to meeting the most, as long as you got to meet everybody that was there, was a real thrill because these were people that brought out these characters to life as you play them, for years and years to come, as long as you have life, which is a very good thing because who I was looking forward to meeting the most was some of the Part 2 players, the Part 2 actors. Even though these actors have been in most Mortal Kombats than any other, especially with the first 3 on him. So for me, the Pacino brothers meeting and having to see them in the last number of years was a really a huge thrill for me. Having to feel their vibe and energy, it was just something awesome. You can't say nothing negative about Carlos and Daniel.
No.
They were just outstanding to talk to, time and time again. And, they're very gracious, they're very humble. That's what I love about those guys. And then along the way, having to meet Richard DeVizio was awesome. It's like I remember my experience meeting Richard DeVizio, and it's like, it's like one of those, it's gotta happen. I don't want to walk out of the building without meeting him and talking with him, because, there's something about that guy, when he brought Kano, Baraka, G, those characters, Cabal as well, and I love playing Cabal in Part 3. And I got to play with the Kano character from Part 1. Part 3 almost got to master him, and he just kicked my butt right now. Nonetheless, meeting Richard DeVizio was an absolute thrill, just as much as meeting Caitlin or Catalin. I've always had trouble pronouncing her name. And remember, I did ask her, how you pronounce your name, because, I didn't want her to get it wrong. Like, I mispronounced Sal Davita's name, and, as I was about to do an interview with him that one time, and we got to stop the footage, or stop recording, just to correct that error.
Yeah.
And, and I appreciated that as well. Okay, so now we did our part when we never even got to pass the whole thing with any of the characters, so we're gonna jump into MK1 Plus. But just meeting everybody from the Pacino brothers, Richard DeVizio, the Caitlin or Catalin, I'm sorry, to say a name like that. To meeting Ho Sung Pak later on, and John Turk. I mean, finally having to meet John Turk and Ho Sung Pak, man, it was just super duper. It was like so damn awesome. Tony Marquez, another figure, man, another figure. Well, I got to feel that positive vibe. Always happy, always cheerful. He's so awesome. He's a great singer, by the way. With him and the Scorpions, he is that talented, man. He's that talented. And Brian Gwynn, the boss, Shao Kahn, I can see why he's the boss. I never got to do an interview with him because he refused, and I wasn't going to get into it with him. He's a true boss in his own act. Meeting Kerry Hoskins.
Oh, yeah.
It was just, oh my God, it was just so outstanding. Having to meet her for the first time ever, it was just amazing. Leah Montelongo, another actress, she was just, I loved her vibe, she was like out with it. She was like herself, especially how she got to video bomb the interview from that one time.
Oh,
when
yeah.
I was interviewing Caitlin. It's like, oh man, the energy was just so outlandish. It was just so infectious, and just having to talk about all these people. Some of them there right now. I think it was no. I don't know if they're doing it for the full weekend, but I heard that in Wichita, Kansas, they're doing a special autograph signing over there too. And I know my guy MK Mike, of your MK Arcade Source. He lives in Wichita. He owns the arcade establishment. Those are those were all his machines. He some of them of his own collection. There were others that he got to acquire for the business. Shout outs to him. For a prosperous business. Hopefully it goes successfully even in these tried times. As long as there's video game fans around in Wichita, can't go wrong with going to the arcade. He's from there. They have the event there, so he got to take some pictures on his Facebook page and all that. So it should be interesting how that whole feel, that dynamic, how they have it over there at that place. So hopefully hopefully it went well. If they have it for another day like today, even better. But if it was just for yesterday, I'm pretty sure whoever got to experience that site really enjoyed themselves. But like nothing like how we had it, 10 years ago. When it was event after event after event. I think we've been to like 4 or 5 of those autograph sessions.
Yeah.
And every time it just got better with time, because more people that haven't gone to it the first time around, you take a shot.
Right.
First, the people that never got to it the first time around actually came in this time. Classic Kombat, that's the original 1-on-1. Of course, survival mode. That. You're going to try out Reptile.
Something different for a change.
Okay. But yeah, bottom line is we got to meet everybody that was there, especially when it was, you know, over time. You know, the experience was awesome. The tournaments were okay, even though technically there were some that were later a part of NetherRealm Studios, which, you know, that should have tipped me off from the very beginning. And of course, as well, I got to meet some people that, you know, that were so cool, so gracious, very cool, like Steve from Michigan.
Yeah.
You remember that I did a tournament with him for MK2. Got to learn things from him, but I felt like we were at equal footing as far as strategy levels were concerned. So that's one guy that you know, I got to learn very good from. He said he was going to come into town, but I never, if he did, cool, but I didn't got a chance to, you know, see him again or to say, hey, you know, let's meet up at Galloping Ghost and, you know, talk about old times. But, you know, Steve, if you ever get to see this video, shout out to you, my man. Hopefully you're doing well in Michigan, you know, with your family and your people over there. Hopefully y'all are doing good. And while we're at it, anybody from the MK cast that are over there in Wichita, man, shout out to you guys. You know, hopefully you guys are having a ball over there with the autograph sessions you got going on. You know, my best wishes to every single one of you, and you know, keep on living this nostalgia factor that's solely golden, you know, as time goes by. Yeah, so. Oh, jeez. You were really sticking them along. You know what? You know what the thing is with Reptile that you don't take advantage of. You know he walks fast, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What are you trying to do?
Trying to slide it.
Oh, okay. The slide is the same.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know that he does the spear and the freeze.
Yeah.
And he's the only character that has 2 fatalities in this one. But yeah, freaking 90s, man. If we only had a time machine and we could set it back to a time where we want to go back, I would like to go back to the 90s. Like, seriously. Those times for me were epic. None of the crap that we're going through now. I mean, I don't even want to get into it, otherwise it'll be a whole different rant. But nonetheless, 30 years. 30 years. It's been this long. It's nuts. I know you're not a fan much of MK as much as I am, Jade. No. But, here, I thought you were going to make it. But, since you got to see the majority of the chapters of Mortal Kombat, if you had a top 5 of these chapters of Mortal Kombat, which would be your top 5 in your case?
Well, my top 5 would be part 2. I would go with Ultimate. I would go with
You're doing it from 1 through 5? Or you're doing it from 5 through 1?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much starting backwards, yeah.
Oh, okay, from 5 to 1.
Yeah.
So what would be number 5 then?
Number 5 would be actually number 5 would be part 1, yeah.
Okay, part 1. What would be number 4?
Part 2.
Part 2. Number 3.
Ultimate part 3.
Ultimate part 3. Number 2.
Deadly Alliance.
Deadly Alliance. And what would be number 1?
I would get to say Armageddon.
Armageddon?
Yeah, Armageddon.
Okay. Well, My top 5, beginning at number 5, would be Shaolin Monks. Mine would be Shaolin Monks. Number 4 would be MK9. Number 3 would be this new one, MK11. Number 2 would be MKX. And number 1, you know which is number 1 for me.
Part 2?
Yeah, part 2. Yeah, that's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
Let's kick into survival mode. I live more for survival mode on these plus versions. You'll see how. Ah. What would you like to add onto this throwback nostalgia about the MK franchise? What do you think would be what was a memory that you can recall about that timeline involving this game or any other?
Well, what they have to attest to is that there's a reason why this franchise have lasted for so many years. It's how it's pretty much. You got people who live vicariously through the characters, and conceptually, it's never the same. How these characters portray these moves, portray the situation moves, and yeah, it was fun how you added the friendships and the rebellions by 2 to make it less, less violent, and then the when they added the animalities in part 3, that was when this is sort of I would say there's a comedic aspect to it. In a finishing move, and they went back to basics. But I think it's pretty much how they kept the story fresh. Every time you add in a new character, you kept the story fresh and appealing. But just as long as you don't deviate completely from the main objective.
Yeah, that's true. So true. Was there a specific character that did that in that aspect? Like a new character coming in? Because as far as new characters, there really wasn't one that really grabbed my attention at the time. Like when it came to like the new MKs of the future generational consoles at the time. Only like if it was like part 3, Cabal kind of did it for me. He was pretty cool. Even though we got to see what was the real view of him in I think it was Deception.
Yeah, for me it was part 2. The whole started because when the whole Katana character was pretty much the linchpin to what would become the spicing of the story. Because without the Katana character, then it would not segue into part 3 to become the ability of the Sindel character that pretty much intensified the whole story.
Yeah, that's true. And speaking of which, the movies that came out, involving, or pretty much that had to do with the franchise. What would be your opinion of the movies? Like, say for example, we all know that the very first MK and then MK Annihilation, they were okay for what it was worth, but they really didn't signify what Mortal Kombat was supposed to be. and it didn't got made up for until last year in 2022 when they rebooted Mortal Kombat with such a refreshing story. The look of it and the feel of it felt like literally like that was, hey, that's what Mortal Kombat's all about. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I agree with it. Definitely agree with it.
Especially how they displayed the rivalry with Scorpion and Sub-Zero, man. That was just something else.
Yeah.
That really refreshed everything. It really did. Premature. Oh, just a little premature. Here's a good one. When it came to secret characters, was there a favorite for you?
For me, I would say,
or one of the many secrets that Mortal Kombat had hidden for such a long time until it was absolutely revealed.
well, one captivated me for sure.
Which was
Jade. Coincidentally, yeah.
Okay. How and what aspect?
When pretty much how in part two, I mean, the way how, I mean, despite the fact that she was katana-esque, but I mean the way to defeat it, like you had to be on your toes constantly. That way you can beat it, and that's not an easy thing, you know.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, even I hated the idea that you had to beat this woman, just have a win or whatnot. And then, unfortunately, the one hidden character that I never got to beat or never found actually until in later years was Reptile. Because like I didn't know of such thing. First of all, we did find him through Sega Genesis. That's one thing for sure, and that was even more cool. My sister's initials, because having my own initials in this game, it's just no fun. I just mix it up. Let me restart this and do one more gameplay. But I'm gonna do the classic combat. I'm gonna do something. For me, when it comes to secret characters, I think the one that really did for me was Smoke. For both Part 2 and Part 3. Ultimate 3. Or, no, Part 3. And then, of course, Ultimate 3, you can bring back Human Smoke. Which had a lot of story or trying to understand, that a story can go both ways depending on how a person is telling it, depending on how Ed Boon and John Tobias were telling the story.
Right.
So Smoke was the one that did it for me. When it came to secrets in the game, how part 1 for the home systems, the huge negative on Super Nintendo was that blood was covered by sweat. The fatalities were just utterly ridiculous, that it made no sense whatsoever. Even though the only ones that was tactically head-on was the one of Scorpion and King, I believe. But all the others made absolutely no sense. And I think, and Sonya's, because Kiss of Death, the skeletal dropping was like the same skeletal dropping with Scorpion's fire. But like Kano pulling out it didn't look like a heart. Raiden's lightning zapping, it was, the body disintegrated, all you got was the skull. Maybe that one I will let it fly, but everything else, it was just, and the mechanics were like so super slow. I mean, it was just, but but here's the thing, before even we got that cartridge on Sega Genesis, we played it, remember we played it at a friend's house, and he had Super Nintendo, so we got used to that type of mechanic, and I didn't remember that it was that slow, but playing it like recently, it's like, oh my god, it's super slow, and I did a gameplay of it, it was just horrible. No blood or nothing, and that's what spelled doom for Super Nintendo and that product, but Sega Genesis capitalized on it huge, because with a cheating code, you can activate the blood, and the fatalities made sense when the blood code is on. So, that was another thing that we should have acknowledged from the beginning. We were talking about, MK1 for the consoles. But a good thing I remember throwing in that, yeah, I did get used to the Super Nintendo version at one point. But on Sega Genesis, I liked MK1 the best on that gaming console platform. But yeah, back to the secrets. That one was one, the activation of blood on Sega Genesis. The EJB menu that just was discovered in the last number of years. That one was one that was put in somebody's pocket for a long time until somebody discovered it. Then MK Mike tested it on his machines. Then after I found out about it, or after people found out about it besides me, we all got to test it to see if this was, something legit. And it turns out that it was. Which was, crazy, because somebody had that secret hitting in their pocket for such a long time, and it's brought out in the open. You get to test it. You test it on your machines, your emulators, and whatnot. It was just nuts, and just to see all the the options that you had to test out, it was like, man. Whoever had this, sure unleashed it at the proper time when everything else was. I think this was before the pandemic too. So it's like that for me was a thrill, having to test it on every single emulator, or PS3 and whatnot, just to make sure that it worked. It was cool for what it was worth. See, now this is cool. They should have had these stages day and night, like in the original arcade, and they have it here on Plus, which is awesome. And when I first saw the courtyard at dark or at night, it's like, I wonder how the pit would look like during the day, or in the morning, or afternoon, or whatnot. And having to die at that time, when you get knocked off the pit, it's like, I was like, that's awesome to see.
Sub-Zero wins.
Here's an interesting question. What is it that you got to see part 1 versus the part 1 version, or the part 1 plus version? There were changes, obviously, and there's things that got added in. What were the changes or additions that you like seen when comparing the two?
Well, obviously, to differentiate the original from the Plus version, on the Plus version, reptiles playable. I kind of like seeing the survival mode. Of course, I should trade that if I had the chance. But yes, I've seen it firsthand what survival mode is about, and I pretty much had. Tag team would have been a nice one, but I had 2 controllers.
Oh, we got 2 controllers. Just I would have had the time to set it up, but we can do that for. If you want, we can bring back Sibling Combat next month, and we can do it from there.
I'm done with that.
We can do the tag team from MK1 Plus, MK2 Plus. They should do it also for Ultimate MK3 Plus. I think I suggested it to Drew on the on that one app, to reach out to him. But yeah, that would be cool to see, because like the original tag, it's okay, but like have it like how it looks like on part 2, it's like it's awesome, and I'd be seeing more of those gameplays now through Fightcade, and I had Fightcade, but I never. Damn it! That always happens to me. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't with the Ruby. And that's another cool thing about this too. It's like now every 2 matches, and then you get to test your mic. And in the original version you don't get that. So that's what's cool with this version, is that you get to go for all of those elements, you get to break those elements, and you don't have to wait for a 2-player mode to actually do that. That's what's awesome with the Plus version. You get to break those elements. The highest one is Diamond, so I got to break them, but not like in its original sequence. Beat 2 guys, and there you have an element. Beat the other 2 guys, then you have the other element, and so forth. But what I like about this game is that they improved it so much that for me, Plus is enjoyable to play, even though I still play the original from time to time. Because like the one thing that I wish I had back was, when it's a Sunday and I'd be going somewhere to play the arcade games. And unfortunately, they don't have a place near me where I can go to play video games. So that's why now, I have an emulator. That'll be the closest thing to that, where I can, play games and have fun. But if I really want to feel like playing an arcade machine, the joysticks and whatnot, well then, that'll be where I would have to go to Galloping Ghost, and it's far away from where we stay. So. Oh,
Johnny Cage.
should have got him. That would have been my round. Damn it. And I love how the roundhouse is so effective now, and how it was when in the first game too. So that's a plus.
Win.
Literally.
Fatality.
Oh, I'm not doing it this way. I always got used to doing it like this.
Sub-Zero. Win.
You should have gave it a better sound effect for that one. That's why I always come up with mine, the way he gets in the chest. Oh, 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 oh,
Test your might.
oh. See, but now I won't get to the diamond. That's the bad part now. If I would have broke the ruby in the first place, I would have got to the diamond.
Yeah.
But then I won't even get the diamond. so those are the roughest things when it comes to the plus version. Just something new to get used to. But it's fun though, I'll tell you that.
Sub-Zero. Win.
And then yeah, they changed the scene where it's at what is this stage again?
Oh, the throne room.
Yeah, the throne room. And I just love the way it looks, when Shang Tsung's not on the chair, just to see how it looks like.
Sonya.
It's like, yeah, that should have been. Oh, and let me tell you something. Those dragon ornaments.
Uh-huh.
In reality, I seen a tweet from John Tobias. From John Tobias. Supposedly, I think his boss had that ornament on his desk,
Mm-hmm.
and John Tobias took that and he, I guess, filmed it with video maybe, or took a picture of it, pixelated, and added it to the game, and he doubled it for a stage.
Mm.
You didn't know that, did you?
No.
I just barely saw that just 4 days ago on Twitter.
Mm.
I'm like, that is so cool. And see, those are the small details that people don't notice until it's the story's out after 30 years. I'm pretty sure it's probably been out, but like that's the first time I caught wind of that. So that's what makes me appreciate the game, a whole lot more, because of those small details. It all starts with an idea. It all starts with some sort of vision, and then you add that into the mix, and it's like, oh man, that just looks so cool. Things like that. So I guess this is where we should cop out, right?
Right.
All right. Well then, guys, we'll just end it from here. This is our first streaming. I did a couple of tests. Started one last night. I wanted to do something like this since last night, but I didn't get around to it, so I did a late test last night. Then just about an hour ago, and it came out good now. So, but until then, this has been Jade. I've been Acemon. Thank you for joining us. We might do another streaming next month for Sibling Combat, so we're gonna, build up anticipation from there. It might be Sibling Combat, but at the same time, we also I also wanted to do like a 2-player thing, like the Ninja Turtles, where we can beat the game together and things like that, or we can do a versus or a co-op. Maybe The Simpsons even, just pretty much play the games that, we got used to in the past. Other than that, it's been fun. The 30 years of Mortal Kombat, it's a huge longevity, and it's only going to be another 10 years for a 40th. Hopefully everybody of the cast is still around to, tell stories, reminisce of those old golden days of when MK really caused a sensation. Then with the future chapters exploded, and the phenomenon was already there, and it got created in a very positive way that has standed the test of time till today. We had the greatest memories back then, and we still relive them by playing these old games and whatnot. So everybody out there watching, thank you very much for joining us. Until then, peace and love worldwide. I know the world is getting more darker and more strange and eerie for the moment, but just as long as everybody's doing good, stay safe, stay out of trouble, and until then, just stay tuned. I will make an announcement in the month of November if we are going to do a sibling combat. That way, you guys can join us, and we'll be throwing in some classic MK or Ninja Turtles or whatever library we can do, and for do more than 1 hour of streaming. But nonetheless, thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like, and if you like this content and other content that I already have on this channel, feel free to subscribe as well, and lay a comment there too. Been getting a lot of positive feedback, and for all of those that have been giving the feedback and lately subscribed that I haven't got to acknowledge, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. You guys rock, man. Outstanding. So until then, peace and love worldwide. We'll see you next time. Have a good weekend, everyone.